In this episode, how to prepare your wedding ceremony, part 2 with Jasperien. Hi there, bridal couples to be.
Welcome to How to Get Married in Holland,
The ultimate wedding podcast of and about the Netherlands.
We, wedding ceremony experts, aka celebrants Daphne and Jasperien, share all ins and outs of getting married in our flat and fabulous country.
Enjoy listening. So, Jasperien, do tell us from the very beginning, when a bridal couple contacts you, how does your process work?
Okay, so when they contact me, we have to find out whether we are a match. That's the most important thing, the match, that you have the right feeling. And normally I do it with a video call, or when a couple wants to, they are always welcome at my house, and we sit down and talk about their ideas for the wedding, first of all, if they have any ideas. And I explain to them always, first and foremost, it's your wedding. So choose whatever makes you happy. Don't let anyone interfere with your ideas. I can give you my ideas and tell you things from experience, but in the end, it is all about you. So that is one part. I already get to know them a little bit, maybe ask them how they met and just have a nice talk. But I also tell some things about myself, about who I am, about my job, of course, which is the best job in the world. And doing that, I think both parties get to know each other fairly well. And by the end of the talk, they already have an idea. Okay, Jasperien, we think you are a great person, and please, can you provide us with a quotation? I send them a quotation, a price quotation, which is an exclusive option for 2 weeks. And with that comes the privacy protocol and the general terms and conditions.
Yeah.
So a couple knows exactly how, what, when, etc. Within the 2 weeks, and many times the day after, or even during the same conversation, they tell me, "Okay, Jasperien, this is it. The match is there. Please, would you like to be our wedding officiant?"
Yeah.
And then we start an engagement process with one another, and that engagement process starts with a very thing that I don't like doing, but I have to, because of course it's my work as well. I send them a first invoice for the down payment to the wedding.
Yeah.
And that is to secure that date.
And that's after they're okay on their quotation, right?
So they send the quotation back to me. They sign it. Both parties, both partners will have to sign it. And then after that, I will send them the invoice for the down payment.
Yeah. And that quotation, is it based on their wedding wishes, or what are the elements within that quotation?
No, I just have a fixed price for any wedding. And there are slight differences, and that mainly has to do with the languages that I will speak within the wedding ceremony. Also, whether it's for me a more complicated language or not. But also, suppose I have a couple that speaks English with one another, but that would like a wedding ceremony to be conducted in, let's say, German and Spanish.
Oh, right.
That happens, or Dutch and Spanish, and they speak English to one another. It just depends on the languages they want to be spoken during the wedding ceremony. A very important item, of course, to make everyone feel truly included within the ceremony.
Indeed.
So
and the travel expenses, I can imagine.
The travel expenses as well are added to the quotation. So it's really 2 parts: the ceremony, languages, and the travel expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, to and
So,
from.
so the deposit locks in their wedding date. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct. And I only take on, in the basis, I only take on one wedding per day. We already always start talking quite a long time ahead, let's say 1 year when they contact me. And sometimes they have an idea of when more or less the wedding ceremony should be,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes they don't quite yet. And if they have me as a wedding officiant or ceremonial speaker, then they don't have to worry about time, because that day is for them. It's a cross in my agenda, and whether they want to change the time from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 because they want to see the sunset, or to 11 in the morning, which I actually had earlier this year
Oh
because
yeah.
of the whole COVID situation. Yes, we started, I think, at 1:30, um, like a year before. And then when everything was closing down, they said, okay, we want to do it at 11 o'clock. And then in the end, I think it was 12 o'clock or 12:30, even 12:30. But, because I don't take on any other weddings on that day.
You have the
I'm
flexibility.
flexible,
Yeah.
and it's peace of mind for me. It's peace of mind for a couple.
Yeah.
So,
And how do you make sure to get that information for you to write a beautiful speech with?
by gathering, well, by staying in contact with a couple. So I stay in contact in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I have a WhatsApp group between the three of us. So at any time, there's always, if there is communication, everyone will know within the little group. Secondly, because we normally enter into contact about a year beforehand, and because the big talk, the big meetup takes place quite a long time after, I try to stay in touch with a couple by sending them a question every now and then, some homework. Like, for example, the first question I ask many times is, what do you remember of your first date? So it gives them the opportunity to go back in time to think about, oh yeah, how was that? How did I experience it? But it also gives me an opportunity to stay in touch with them, to already get to know them prior to the meetup, the big meetup that we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And
So it's like a trip down memory lane.
yes, exactly. And then, of course, I plan a meeting with them. Normally, they come to my home. If that is not possible, then we try to find another arrangement. If they live abroad, of course, that would be a video call. But if I happen to be in the area at a certain time and I know that well ahead, then I would contact the couple and I go to their home. Because the nice thing, of course, of visiting a couple at their home is that you see their surroundings,
Yes.
you see the type of house they live in, the style, it's more a feeling. But many times people do visit me at my home, and then I just prepare a lunch or some bites. I love cooking, so I take pride in giving them something really like the quality that I bring within the ceremony. I want to bring also within the meetup, and that means like good food, a nice drink, always checking out whether they have any allergies that I have to take into account.
Very attentive.
Yeah, I try to make it as personal as I can. And
Yeah.
always, if they come to my house, I treat them to Zeeuwse bolus, which is the typical treat
Aha.
of the region
The
here. And
local specialty.
yes, and even when I have mixed couples or fully Dutch couples from another region, they haven't tried that yet. So it's always a nice treat.
That's
Yes,
first street
yes.
already. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that big talk, of course, that's the
Mm-hmm.
third way of staying in touch and getting my information is taking 2-3 hours. I always actually say take 3 hours. When you come
Yeah.
to my house, make sure that you're not in a rush, because this is going to last for 3 hours.
It does take time, doesn't it?
It does take time.
Yeah.
And because it's such a lengthy talk, prior to their coming to my house, I will send them a questionnaire, just as you do. And that questionnaire gives me an insight in the logistics of the wedding,
Yeah.
who's going to be there, the timing, the elements of the wedding ceremony.
The whole
So,
framing.
yes, the
Yeah.
structure of the wedding. So that's the easy bit, I always say. And then there is the personal bit, which which are questions about their lives, how they met, what is important to them in their lives, the things they like doing, the things they laugh about, the things they've cried about together. Um, Everything that is important to them within their lives, the main pillars of their lives.
Yeah. And do
And
you also ask question to relatives or witnesses or family members?
that depends. It depends on what the couple wants, if
Mm-hmm.
they feel comfortable with that. It's always a thing that I discuss with them with during the introductory meeting,
Mm-hmm.
because I explain how the way I work, and that is a very important part of it. Personally, I find it a very valuable addition of information that I can, gather, because it gives the different point of view from people that are close to a couple, and they're always very valuable and warm words that make me very happy, and that in the end makes a couple very happy. But I only do that if the couple feels comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, very much sometimes, a couple says, no, that's just not us. And
Yeah. We
once
like to keep
again,
it to our information. Yeah.
exactly. And that's so important, because a wedding is not about me or what other people expect. No, a wedding is just about what a couple wants it to be, nothing more and nothing less.
Yeah.
So the question would be yes, but only if a couple wants me to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really them. Yeah. So after
Yeah.
that rather festive gathering with great conversation,
Yeah.
great food, what
Yeah.
happens next?
What happens next? After that, I will send them my second invoice, take care of the administration, so that all the boring stuff is dealt with before the wedding ceremony.
Check.
Check,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, and then I will start writing. I will start, writing the speech. I gather that when I have all the information, of course, of all parties involved, I will start writing the speech. And I try to write it in one go.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't always work. I get the framework ready, so the main things are in there, but sometimes I let it rest for a little bit. And then a week after, I will get back to the ceremony, the speech that I've written, check it again, and then I see things that I didn't see before, and I like to fine tune. I tend to fine tune maybe twice. So I write it, then I check it, and then I check it again, um, because sometimes when you think about things a long time and you write down things, in the end you don't see the exact words anymore that you've
Yeah.
written.
Yeah.
So I like to get back to the speech, to final check it. And I always say to a couple, if anything changes, always be in touch with me.
Yeah.
And if anything that I've written down, if I'm not sure about it, I will get in touch with the couple as well, because I want it to be perfect.
Yeah. And just right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course you do conduct ceremonies in different languages
Yep.
if requested.
Yep.
Do you write immediately in that language, or do you translate it, or how does that work?
Most of the times, I will write it in a language,
Mm-hmm.
in one language, whether that is Dutch or English or Spanish. And then afterwards, I will check where do I need to fit in the parts in the other language?
Yeah.
Making sure that I don't become repetitive. So if I write down a bit in Dutch and then afterwards a bit in Spanish, for example, I'm not going to repeat exactly what I said in Dutch, because sometimes, or actually many times, one of the partners masters both languages, and then it
And the
would
guests
become
do too.
yeah, and then it would become very tedious and boring, and I want to avoid that it becomes boring. And some parts would be important in one language, some parts would be important in another language, and there's no need to repeat it, because it only makes it slow. And that's one thing that I want to avoid. It needs to be festive, and has to have a certain speed within the ceremony, not making it tedious, that people start yawning, think, okay, we just heard that in Dutch and now we
Yeah.
hear it in
Yadi
English.
yadi. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
completely want to avoid that. And yeah, that's actually how I put it in the different languages. And
Yeah.
certain languages, not English and not Spanish, but if I do speeches in French or Portuguese, German, or Italian, I have a native speaker check it,
Oh, great.
because
Yeah.
I want to make sure that whatever I say, that it is correct. And even if it is Portuguese or Spanish, for example, if it would be Argentinian Spanish, I will have an Argentinian native speaker check it. That difference I do. Spanish, normally I don't, but if I have South American Spanish, because there are
It's all in
slight,
the detail.
yes, it's very important. Some words that you use in Spanish, you just cannot use in South American Spanish, like, for example, Argentinian Spanish or Colombian or Mexican Spanish, because they all have their little differences. Like, it would be like Flemish and Dutch. Some
Mm.
things you just don't say in Flemish and you do say them in Dutch.
Yeah.
And the same goes for Portuguese, whether it's Brazilian Portuguese or Portuguese.
Yeah. So you're very attentive to the details,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
already mentioned
yeah,
it being non-boring, but festive.
yeah.
Are there other words to describe your speech or your wedding style?
Cheerful, light-hearted,
Mm-hmm.
warm, and connecting. I like to connect, and I connect with my words, but I also connect with interaction. So I do want to truly involve people within my ceremony. And that's, for me, that's the recipe to a good ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And of
So,
course, the ceremony is on the wedding day.
yeah.
So, what happens on the wedding day itself? How do you prepare for that?
Okay. And I just want to go back one step, because
Mm-hmm.
a week before the wedding,
Yeah.
I always contact the couple again,
Right.
just to make sure that everything is still as we discussed it, that, the bride is going to be given away by her dad, that there's live music 3 times, that the cousin is going to bring the rings. Just check, check. And I've had it happen. It was last year that a couple decided to bring the wedding backwards half an hour, to move it backwards half an hour, which is fine. But
Mm-hmm.
suppose they would have brought it forward by an hour and would not have communicated it to me, then we have an issue.
Yeah.
So it's just checking, making sure that what I understand is still the case. And then the wedding day. Okay. I want to be on time, well in time before the wedding. So
Mm-hmm.
that is at least 1 hour before the wedding ceremony, because I like to take it easy. I don't want to be surprised by things on the way to the wedding location. I don't want to be stressed out. I just want quality. I just want to be there 100%. So 1 hour before, because then I will have also time to, for example, talk to the groom. I don't talk to the bride so much before the wedding ceremony. Normally, I do see her the first time during the ceremony, but I do talk to the groom. I do try and talk to any guests, important guests that arrive, like parents, sisters, witnesses, because I've heard the names. when we talked.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice to be able to connect the faces to the stories. And for them, it's all also like, oh, okay, so you're the wedding registrar. So it's always, it's like a little icebreaker to make them feel comfortable as well during the ceremony.
Yeah,
And
right.
always nice to talk to the groom and see what state of mind he is in. Normally they're quite relaxed, I would say. A bit tense maybe, but relaxed in a different way than the bride, I think. So then there's the wedding ceremony, and
And then it starts, of course.
yeah.
And do you announce the start of the ceremony, or do you work closely together with a wedding planner or a
Yeah.
master of ceremony?
It depends. I always talk everything through. So, are there any things that you want? If there's a wedding planner or a master of ceremony, whether I will announce, please switch off your phones, or please stand up for the couple and give them an applause. And also, at the end of the ceremony, I tend to do. Give instructions, so to speak, that the couple will leave the hall first, and please follow them for a toast. I do take on that role, but only when the master of ceremony or the wedding planner tells me to do that.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's all it's teamwork. It's always teamwork.
Yeah.
Depending on
So
what.
there it is, that festive connecting wedding ceremony in Jasperien style.
Yeah.
And what happens after the ceremony?
So normally, as I said before, I will announce that the couple will leave and the guests will follow. And most of the times there's something like cutting the cake or a toast. I will quietly follow the couple and stay within the room where they are. Many times they do ask me to stay on for longer, but I always say no. I did my thing. Now it's time for you to enjoy the party that is going to start with your guests.
Yeah.
And I will be there quietly when they cut the cake and raise the glass, and then I will say goodbye to them and go home and fly home all happy, reliving the moment
In the rush.
oh yeah, that's always such a nice moment if you have seen and lived that you did you had the perfect wedding ceremony. I
Yeah.
mean, that you see from the guests' reactions, the bridal couple's reactions. So I sort of fly home. Yeah.
And do you provide the text later on to the couple?
Yes, I do. I do that afterwards. I don't provide it to them after the wedding. I print it out. I've always asked them when they're going to be back from their honeymoon, if they are going on a honeymoon. And then shortly before that, I will make sure that there will be a nice envelope waiting for them. It's like a nice package, nicely wrapped, nicely printed, a little ribbon and like a little...
A present.
Yeah, it's like a present. It's like a happy moment for them to unwrap it and then to read it and relive the moment. And that finishes my trajectory with a bridal couple. It starts with a talk and it finishes with reliving that moment when they open up that package and when they actually see the bridal speech.
Yeah. Well, that makes for memories for a lifetime.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It does.
So thank you so much, Jasperien, for explaining your process to us.
Yes.
And do stay tuned for the next episode, because then Jasperien and I will explain the preparations with the officiant from the municipality.
We do. So
Okay.
speak to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to How to Get Married in Holland.
We look forward to share more about organizing your wedding day in the Netherlands in the next episode.
Hit the subscribe button so you won't miss anything.
Any questions in the meantime?
Please ask wedding celebrants Daphne or Jasperien. You can find us, plus the show notes, on Instagram.
And if you love this podcast, please leave a review.
It gives us a higher ranking, so more fun international couples with Dutch wedding plans will be able to find us.
Until next time.